Thanks. Okay. All right. So first thing you need to do for the glow is I can't make white. What's the brightest that there is? The brightest color or the brightest value we can have in Photoshop is white. I cannot get whiter than white, right? So I cannot make this glow until I make this dark, okay? So let's think about for your project, you're gonna be making a sketch on paper. You scan it, we get it in, take a photo of it. We need to first make the whole thing dark. So I'm gonna go to my adjustment layer. Lots of different ways you could do brightness contrast, you could do levels, you could do exposure. Let me try the exposure one. Bring the exposure down. That's one way you can make it darker. Just knock my exposure down. Okay, I can also do, and you know, you can do a combination of these too. Maybe I'm gonna start with that, and then I'm also gonna do levels, and let's see, I'm gonna play with my levels. That makes it brighter. Okay, oh, that makes it darker. That sounds good. That's nice and dark. Okay, and there we go. It's definitely looking darker now. All right, so maybe I'll do that to get it dark to start off with, okay? And then I could also do even brightness contrast. I can bring my brightness down. Okay, so lots of different ways, and you can also, of course, combine these things. Okay, now that it's dark, I can begin to light it up, okay? So the first thing I wanna do is pick the color that you wanna light up, okay? If you look at the examples that I posted in the assignment, right? It does not have to be realistic color. You know, for some of these things, it's kind of cool. This was a student example, okay, from last year. Here's some that an AP student used in their portfolio last year. Okay, so you can do colored glows, like this is kind of fun. This is an internet example, not a student one. Okay, or you can stick realistic. For the candle, I'm just gonna do like a traditional yellowy kind of warm color. All right, so let me get started on that. I'm gonna use my adjustment layer and I'm going to do a color fill, solid color. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the color. The reason I'm doing it on an adjustment layer is so I can go back and change my color if I want. I can change it to really anything. All right, I think I need to get something bright over here. Again, I'm kind of winging this. I haven't done this for a while. All right, then I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of it. So to get rid of this, I could say edit fill black, or watch, I can just go to my mask, and if I hit Control I, that inverts my mask, which means the white becomes black. When I have a black mask, it means it gets rid of it. Now I'm going to use B, my brush. B is my brush. I'm going to get my regular brush. I'm going to get a soft brush, just a soft round brush. And I'm going to scooch in here. Okay, and I'm going to just paint over the general shape of this, and I'm not going to worry too much yet. Maybe I am going to low opacity this a little bit. Okay, all right. There we go. Now I'm done. Looks good, right? No, it does not look good. I'm not done. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna triple click here. If I triple click, and I'm triple clicking in the space here, okay? If you click here, that's like the name of the layer. If you click outside, that's gonna open your layer styles, okay? And I'm going to, you don't have to do this, and I don't think this looks good all the time, but maybe if you give like, bring back a little bit of this. Let's see, I'll bring back a little bit. Sure, I'll do that. Actually, I don't even really like that. I'm gonna maybe just do one. Okay, there we go. Brought back like a little bit of the picture. I don't like that. I'm gonna undo that. I'm gonna skip that step. 0, didn't like it. All right, let's see. Let me go ahead and blur this. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, and let's see if this will let me blur. Okay, I'm gonna blur this a little bit. So I basically kind of got the shape, and now I'm gonna do some blurring. Okay, that looks a little better. Again, it's not quite glowing yet, but this is a start. It's much better. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Now I'm gonna go to my yin yang and start doing exposure layers. And it might take multiple layers. So here's the exposure. All right, and I'm going to bump this up. And then you can see it's increasing the exposure of the entire thing, which I don't want. So I'm going to Control I, get rid of my mask, and now I'm just going to paint this into certain areas. So in reality, when I look at a flame, and you should look at reference images first, you know, and look at the examples that I gave you on the glows, right? The brightest part should be kind of here in the center. So I'm gonna again get my brush, and I'm just gonna start painting like a little bit here and brighten that up. And you know what? I think at this point I am gonna start lowering my opacity a little bit. And there should also be some sort of like, you know, the candle kind of like lights up a little halo. Okay, and then this is really what I'm gonna do, just lots of these kind of layers. So I'm like brightening it up a little bit, okay? That's looking better, not perfect. Okay, and I'm gonna do again another exposure layer. I can also do maybe some other colors. So let me do another exposure layer. Exposure, again, I'm going to brighten this up even more, and then I'm gonna get rid of it with Control I and just paint it in certain areas. So let's see, I need a little bit of, I think like this area. I wanna get even brighter. You know what, it doesn't seem to be getting bright enough for me. Maybe my opacity is too low. Let me bump this up a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's going a little bit faster. Okay, maybe on this one, or maybe even on this one, I think I'm ready to go and maybe get myself a little bit of more of a circular, like a little like there. That's looking better. Okay, if there's areas that I want to delete, okay, so like maybe I want part of this to actually be a little bit darker, I can use my black paintbrush. And you know, maybe I want like this part is actually a little bit brighter. Okay, if I want to do another color, solid color, I want to get like a little bit of more orangey colors in there. Okay, and again, Control I, and I can use my low opacity paintbrush and get some of this. Now I'm getting like a little bit of orangey color in there. And again, I'm just going back and forth with the exposure layers. Exposure. Actually, this one I'm going to add on linear dodge. You can also use blend modes, linear dodge. Okay, exposure layer. Let me get in here. Increase this even more. There we go. Now this looks a lot more glowy, right? And again, Control I. Oops, no. Control I. And I'm going to just paint that in maybe just these areas, just like kind of the center of this flame. And again, go back and look at these. Look at some actual images to get some ideas. I'll do another solid color, maybe that same. Actually, I'm just going to be lazy and I'm going to duplicate this layer, Control J. Okay, it's on linear dodge again. Edit, fill. I'm going to paint this whole thing black first. Edit, fill, black, because I was reusing the layer mask. And get some more kind of glows in here, so on and so forth, okay? If you want to also make a lens flare and then, you know, zoom in and out once in a while and go back and are there areas that maybe are too bright? How can you get rid of them? You know, see which layer it's on. This one I think I added too much of, so I'm going to do some black to get rid of some of this here as well. Okay, maybe I don't want the flame to look too regular. So on and so forth, okay? If you want to make a lens flare to also use, you're going to do a new layer, edit, fill, black, and we're going to say filter, render, lens flare. Filter, render, lens flare, okay? Remember, you don't want your lens flare to be like off the edges of your paper. And there's different lens flares you can use, but like, let's say I just want to use this one. You can also, by the way, move this stuff around. So maybe for a candle, I'll go kind of centered like this. All right, that's way too big. Okay, this is probably way too big, but I'll see in here in a second. I'm going to go linear dodge, Control T this layer. Okay, and this is way too bright, so I'm probably going to have to turn this down a little bit, but maybe this will be kind of the center of my flame right here. And again, I'm going to turn that down. So you can use some lens flares that you already have in there as well, okay? And I know this is kind of hard to see on the projector. You can see there's like a little bit of white hot where it's burning, okay? And this, you can still use all your masks, okay, if you want to delete some things. Okay, maybe I like that it's here, but I don't like these rings. Or you can, you know, Control T, like these things can be, let me hold Shift, you know, if I want to do something like so. I don't think I want to do that. Oops, Control Z. What else? Oh, one other thing about the lens flare, you can change the color if you want. So let me just duplicate this layer to show you. Control J. Let's say I have one over here. It looks like I accidentally drew on it. Control U if I want to colorize it and give it like a different color. So if you needed like a pink glow and you didn't to incorporate with whatever, you can change the color with Control U. Okay? So it's just a lot of stacking back and forth, layering these things on, using your blend modes like linear dodge, okay? Use some lens flares in there. Actually, this one, great example. I do need to erase some of this. I'm going to erase this little area. Okay, maybe I don't want that halo too much. All right, and I can move this down. Maybe I'll lower the opacity of this even a little bit more. All right. Okay, so that's how you can get some glows in there. There's lots of different examples. When you're also zoomed out, think about also like the extra light. Like, is there gonna be some light that catches on some other places? So I can take the layers that I have, the existing layers, and start here. Okay, is this gonna give a little bit of light down here on the candle? I think so. So maybe I'm gonna go with this very edge, tiny brush. Okay, and maybe I need like a little bit here. That's going to be hitting, illuminate there, okay? So on and so forth. All right, the light is going to be not as strong the farther away it is, okay? But those little details are going to help bring this thing to life. And again, don't forget, you can always do some really soft, big brush layers if you need to get some overall light. So I'm going to do one more, like maybe a yellowy, orangey yellow on linear dodge. And I'm going to get rid of it, Control-I, oopsie, Control-I, and use my white paintbrush, really big, really low opacity, and maybe just give just a little bit more illumination to the scene, okay? Too much, lower your opacity, okay? And that's it.